What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the world according to Briggs, or welcome to the channel if this is your first time here. We're happy to have you. Please subscribe. Over the last year, I've seen an increase in requests to make videos on affordable land and places with a low cost of living, things of that nature. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make a video about that. This video is about inexpensive places to live and buy a home. This one will be focused on the cities that, in comparison to the rest of the country, are somewhat affordable. I tell you it's about cities so we don't have people saying that I don't know what I'm talking about because they bought a 1950s fixer-upper 8 miles outside of Bagg, Wyoming for $75,000 or someplace similar to that. And if you've never heard of Bagg, Wyoming, nobody has, so don't feel bad. So for this video, let's just assume that it is in fact cheaper to live in the outback of any state, and it's probably also easier to hunt squirrel or possum for dinner. We're looking at places most people would want to live. Really, this is a video that anyone over the age of 20 should be interested in. If you're 18 and dreaming of a career as a video game player, then that normally takes place in your parents' home and you're really not concerned with costs, so this video may not be for you. For the rest of us, let's take a look at where we might be able to go in my top 10 most affordable cities. Number 10, Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville is a nice, quiet city surrounded by miles of farmland. The city has recently been found to be one of the most affordable places to live. It really is an amazingly beautiful city. Most people really don't give it a second thought when they're thinking about traveling or relocating. They're missing out. The overall cost of living here is 14% lower than the national average, and the median home price is about $70,000 less than the national average. On average, residents only have to spend about 20% of their total income on living expenses, which is really low. Now, the average home is about $160,000, and it's forecasted to go up about 2% over the next year and a half. Kentucky is one of those states that has a couple of cities that are great, and then it gets really backwoods in a hurry. If you stay in the city and don't try and go a little cheaper by moving 20 miles outside the city, you'll be fine. But there's some neck of the woods that you don't want to be in Kentucky. Number 9, Little Rock, Arkansas. Little Rock is home to about 730,000 residents and also has the oldest standing state capitol building west of the Mississippi River. Although that's not the only thing Little Rock is known for. They're also known for its affordability and crime. The good news is the affordability is still there and the crime is slowly trending downwards. Little Rock is extremely affordable with an overall cost of living that's about 13% lower than the national average. The median home sells for about $140,000. That's cheap. Little Rock does have some challenges, like crime and poverty. There's no getting around that. The unemployment rate was one of the worst in the country 10 years ago during the recession. Now it sits a little better than the national average. As of March 2019, the national average is 3.9%. Little Rock is sitting at 3.6%. That's not too shabby for a state that is most often used as a punchline in a joke told at an Elks Lodge all around the country. Number 8, Syracuse, New York. Syracuse is home to about 660,000 residents located in upstate New York, and they are cold most of the year. The median income per household here is about $50,000. Only about 20% of the residents' income is spent on living expenses. That's dirt cheap. In Syracuse, you can get a house for as low as $3,000. I actually saw some on Zillow for about $3,000. They weren't like ready to be torn down or anything like that either. They needed some work, but it's not like you had to rebuild the whole thing and chase a pack of wild dogs out or anything like that. They were almost livable houses. The median home price in Syracuse is about $88,000. And that's the median home price. And of course, they take into consideration those ones that are like $3,000 and $5,000. But to get a decent home to move into, you're looking at about $120,000. $150,000, it probably just got renovated. The downside of living in Syracuse is the weather. Holy hell, this place gets cold. Very cold. Number 7, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tulsa is home to a lot of open spaces, a lot of boredom, and big pickup trucks with things that resemble testicles hanging from the trailer hitch. They also have the Blue Dome Entertainment District and nearly 500,000 residents who can easily afford their home and some entertainment. The median income is about $45,000 a year, and they only spend about 20% of their annual income on living expenses. Again, very cheap. On average, a house here will sell for about $120,000 a year. The forecast for Tulsa Tulsa is a 1.9% home price increase over the next 18 months. Now, part of the reason they have such cheap property is crime. They have some sections of Tulsa that are pretty scary. To get a home outside the scary neighborhood, you're still looking at only $160,000 maybe. So move to Tulsa, buy a big truck, stay out of bad neighborhoods, and live cheap. That could be a new campaign slogan for them. If anyone from Tulsa wants to use that one, go ahead. It's a keeper. Number 6. Greenville, South Carolina. If you talk to anyone from Greenville, it's Greenville. This is home to the Green Monster at Fluor Field and home to 872,000 residents. The Green Monster is a replica of a Major League Baseball outfield wall found at Fenway Park in Boston. This is the home field of the Greenville Drive, a minor league baseball team that's the affiliate for the Boston Red Sox. That's why they want to make it look like the field there in Fenway Park. It's kind of cool. It's really an iconic field. So yeah, it's kind of cool. Anyway, the city has an amazing unemployment rate of about 2%, and the residents spend only about 21% of their yearly income on housing and living expenses. This is another place that has a little bit of a crime thing going on, but the cost of living is so low, it might be worth the risk. Number 5. Youngstown, Ohio. Youngstown broke the top 100 for the U.S. News' Best Place to Live in 2019 list, ranking 97th. Sure, that doesn't sound great, but Youngstown has sucked forever, and I'm sure if you were to dig up a list from, say, 10 years prior, they probably wouldn't have cracked Mexico's top 100 list. Youngstown is about an hour east of Cleveland and has about 550,000 residents. These residents live a pretty easy life considering how affordable the city is. Residents in Youngstown make an average of $50,000 a year, and only use about 21% on living expenses. Now, this place is scary cheap, but it also has some crime and poverty. It's to be expected at this point. You can move into a decent home here for $70,000, and I mean decent, like ready to go, and you don't have to do a whole bunch of repairs. A fixer-upper may set you back $25,000. That is nuts. Speaking of nuts, it gets cold here, and yours could actually freeze off during the winter. Number 4. Buffalo, New York. Buffalo is a border town right next to Niagara Falls, Canada. The city has a population of 1.1 million and an average household income of about $48,000. Residents here spend about 19% of their annual income on housing and living expenses. The cost of living is extremely low at 47% lower than the national average. This is another city you can buy a house for under $100,000. To get into one of the better neighborhoods, you're looking at about $120,000. That's dirt cheap. Again, it gets cold here, and your tears will freeze to your face while watching the Buffalo Bills have another crappy season, so be prepared for that. It snows a bunch, all through the football season and beyond. Number 3. Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Baton Rouge is the second most populous city in Louisiana with about 230,000 residents. The city is also one of the most affordable in the country. The overall cost of living here is about 12% lower than the national average, with utilities being the lowest at about 13% lower than the national average. With a median household income of about $48,000, the average resident in Baton Rouge spends about 18% of their income on their housing and basic necessities. This place is extremely affordable. Don't move here, you will probably die in a hail of bullets. Other than that, it's a great place to live. Number 2, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Grand Rapids is a great place to live. In the summer, you can enjoy the Grand River. In the winter, you can enjoy ice skating in Rosa Parks Circle. And year-round, you can enjoy affordability of this city. Grand Rapids is one of the most affordable cities in the state, with just a little over 20% of the income being spent on living expenses. Although the median household income is lower than the national average at $51,000, Grand Rapids isn't the cheapest on this list, but it's low. And you don't have that fear of death factor like other places on this list. Their crime isn't terrible compared to other places. And stop typing. I am sure that someone from Grand Rapids is feverishly typing their rebuttal about crime. The stats aren't great, I get it. It's just not a step up from the last battle scene of Avengers Endgame like Baton Rouge is. And it has jobs, so that's a plus. Hey, and before we get to number 1, don't forget there's a poll towards the end of the video. It'll pop up in the upper right of the video. Click on that. It's just one question. Helps out with data for the upcoming videos. Appreciate your help. And number 1, Huntsville, Alabama. Huntsville is located in northern Alabama near the Tennessee border. The city is home to nearly 500,000 residents, making this one of the top 5 most populous cities in the state of Alabama. Huntsville is an incredibly affordable place to live. The overall cost of living is 8% lower than the national average, and less than 17% of the average household income goes towards housing costs, making Huntsville an ideal place to live and save your money. The thing about Huntsville is they have jobs, they have things to do, the schools are decent, and a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home is under $100,000. Right around $100,000, but normally below it. That's a backyard, front yard, maybe even woods and a creek behind your house for $100,000. That is nothing to sneeze at. The forecast is property will only increase by 0.2%, so you have some time to pull the trigger on this one if you want. Huntsville, Alabama is the most affordable city to move to for 2019-2020. Alright, so that's my top 10 most affordable cities in the United States. I hope you guys got some information out. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget all those links below. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Hit that little bell so you're notified when we have a video uploaded. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.